Good evening and welcome to episode 17 of India Africa Talk Show. And today we'll be talking about the booming startup sector in Africa. In the last few years, like in India, in Africa also, we have seen a deepening of the startup and the innovation culture to a large extent. A large number of startup ventures have come up and who have established their success in a very short span of time. In fact, in 2019, as per several reports, there has been a fourfold increase in terms of investment in startup ventures in Africa. And not just small players, even big venture capitalists and angel investors are ready to invest, ready to fund large-scale startups that have come up in various parts of Africa and in several African countries. To talk more about that, today I have a very interesting panel of young entrepreneurs who will be sharing their success stories with me today in the show, and would also like to talk about the startup ecosystem in Africa, what are the current challenges, and what kind of future they see for their ventures and for the startup sector in general. I would like to welcome first two young partners who have joined us today from Kenya, Ms. Sherilyn Muita and Ms. Adhiambo Makina.
Yes, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Great. Ms. Adhiambo Makina is CEO and founder of Kenzie Interiors and Marketing Firm, and Ms. Sherilyn Muita is co-founder and MD of the same firm. I welcome both of you in today's show, and we would love to know more about your venture and what are you doing currently in your country. Great.
Thank you so much.
Lovely. Our second panelist today is Ms. Mwaka N.Y. Namukonda, and she is a PhD scholar researching on trade facilitation in Zambia and also a young entrepreneur, and she is representing Excellent Africa today in the show. Ms. Mwaka Namukonda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be on the show and to meet everyone. And I really hope so many people have tuned in because I think this is something that we really need to share ideas in different areas all around the world, how we get through the similar challenges that we are going through, COVID-19. Yeah, this is very interesting and I really look forward to enjoying this discussion.
Great. Our next panelist today is Mr. Emmanuel Q. Amoafo. Mr. Emmanuel, welcome to the show. He's joining us today from Ghana and he's co-manager of Testis Grills and Bar. Mr. Emmanuel, it's lovely to have you in the show today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on the show to discuss issues relating to young entrepreneurs in Africa as far as development is concerned. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Great. Next panelist today is Ms. Joy Nwama. She's CEO of Mega Key Consultancy and Marketing Agency, and she is from the Gambia. Ms. Joy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on the platform. I look forward to sharing knowledge and as well gaining knowledge from all of the panelists here present.
Great. Our next panelist today is Mr. Lassina Bamba. He's joining us from Ivory Coast. He's founder and CEO of Bamba Lassina establishment. Mr. Lassina Bamba, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be among you today for this talk show. And I will be very happy to share the experience of Ivorian youth, startup youth with you today. I'm very happy to be among you. Thank you very much.
Great. Once again, all of you, welcome to this discussion. Friends, today we are talking about a sector which is booming in several parts of the globe. In India also, in the last few years, we have seen so many new ventures coming up and making their mark globally. And I'm sure in Africa also, a lot of work is happening, a lot of work is being done by young entrepreneurs like you in establishing their ventures and making them popular and successful. Do you think this is the best time to be in the startup industry? And first of all, we would like to talk to our young partners from Kenzie Interiors and Marketing Firm, Ms. Adiambo Makina and Ms. Charlene Muita. Tell us about your venture in brief. When did you start? How did you start? And do you think this is the best time to be in the startup sector?
So can I do it? So we basically, I had my own company. I just moved back from traveling the world, working overseas, and we've been friends for 17 years. So basically, we know each other's ins and outs, and we decided to merge our companies together about a year and a half ago, which was, I think, the best thing that we could ever have, because bringing in our international experience and our friendship, it means that we could create something that can take over the market. So she's the most amazing interior designer I've ever met. And I'm basically a luxury brand consultant, worked with brands like Ferrero Rocher, Campari, Cartier, you name it, globally. So it's been a nice adventure journey. We've done a lot from my experience, and coming into the African market has not been easy, because people don't really understand the angles that we use in terms of the market, because we have more of a European kind of mindset and experience with the background. So coming into Africa has not been that easy, but we're trying to crack through and tell people this is the way you should do things, because in Africa, things are still very backdated. People take time to adopt to new changes. In terms of now, with the COVID, I think it's been actually a very good time for us, because people have taken time to, especially in the interior industry, to renovate their houses, get in touch with spaces that they never thought that they could get in touch with. People have taken time to actually take care of their homes. When it comes to the marketing field, it's kind of taken a step back, because businesses are kind of slow, things have shut down. But it's picking up slowly. I'm still getting clients. We're still getting clients overseas.
It's good. We can't complain that much.
It's a kind of mixed experience for you,
Yes. Exactly.
during the COVID times.
Yeah.
Great. We'll come back to you to discuss more about. You mentioned about Africa. Africa has to pick up a lot of things, when compared to Europe and and the Western world. So we'll come back to that point again in the show. Coming to you, Miss Joy Nwama. You are CEO of Mega Key Consultancy and Marketing Agency. Tell us something about your venture in brief. What are you doing currently, and do you think this is the best time to be in the startup sector? Please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me on your show once again. And Megaki started in 2016, 27th of June, and started in a classroom where I attended a small entrepreneurship class. And in the process, I realized there was an opportunity to market. As of then, we have very limited people that were involved in marketing activities. So I decided to venture, and I participated in an American government-sponsored program called Startup Incubator Gambia. That's how the idea was incubated, and I graduated, my business registered. And then moved forward, I decided to work on capacity, where I went to the University of Gambia, completing up with my master's degree. And so far, the consultancy world has been quite okay, because I had the opportunity to be the executive secretary of Association of Gambia Managers. You trade activities carrying on and so forth. So far, this nothing bad. Business has been educating people on entrepreneurship, and it's just not in the Ghana, my location. We've had people from the continent, from Asia, Africa, Europe, and the United States. So, so far, no complaints.
Yeah, great. So I think that the last 3-4 years, you started in 2016. It was a great learning experience for you. We'll come back to you in the show to know more about the startup ecosystem in Africa. Coming to you, Ms. Mahaka Namkonda, you are a researcher, you're doing your doctorate also, and you're also an entrepreneur, and you're associated with Exilient Africa. Tell us something about your journey and how you are balancing both your studies and your entrepreneurial ambitions.
Thank you so much. Well, it's not easy. The multitasking has been very hectic, and I came to India about 2 years ago, and immediately I got here, I immediately joined a university to do my research on trade facilitation in Zambia. If you have been following news with trade and everything that's going on in Zambia, like we need better facilities now more than ever, you know, and COVID just came in and just highlighted that we need better services, delivery services, we need more e-commerce, we need facilities, tech, information technology to be put in place for us to now move. And it's the new phase now. We really need to change the way things are. Marketplaces have to be online. And it's something very interesting to look into. And now, even with, just like I mentioned with the COVID-19, the highlight and importance on trade facilitation has really blossomed. Like there's so much to write about exports and imports. Those of you who are always importing your things, like Shailene mentioned, you know, interiors, I don't know, you might be getting them from places. Now, people close their borders, expenses have gone up. It's just a lot involving trade facilitation right now. And for entrepreneurship, I am so much in love with skincare. It is something that I love so much. And so from just the childhood days of getting flowers and mixing them up, trying to see how this works for you, DIYs, more people kept on asking, what are you using? What are you using? So that's how come I started a company with my sister called Mine and Nine Beauty, and it deals in skincare products. This is talking about shea butter, all raw products really. So no parabens and everything. So made in the kitchen, coconut coffee scrubs, lip scrubs, and all that. So it's something I love to do, and it just ended up becoming a business as well. So that's something that I am doing at the moment.
Great, great. That's quite interesting. Coming to you, Mr. Emmanuel Amafo, you're working in the hospitality sector. Mr. Emmanuel, can you hear me? I think Mr. Emmanuel is not connected. Coming to you, Mr. Lasina Bamba. Mr. Bamba, can you hear me now? Please unmute yourself.
Very well.
Yes. Mr. Bamba, tell us something about your venture in Ivory Coast, Bamba Lasina establishments. How did you start and what are you doing currently?
Okay, thank you very much. You know, the problem of entrepreneurship in our African countries is very serious because on the base, we don't have education of entrepreneurship, we have education of office. But me, from what I'm concerned, it's about the engagement of my dad. He was a businessman, trader. Yeah, so I moved with him since I had 8 years old, and I grew with this idea, this mentality of entrepreneurship, to not count on anybody and do everything myself. Yeah, so since the 28, I have started my own business. Yes, I was doing the small trading, the small trade of coconuts, groundnuts, and I have developed my business small and small. Okay, And in 2010, I created the company, Bambalasna Establishments, that was engaged in real estate business. So the starting was not easy at all because here we have a lot of difficulty to get support from governments and banks. Yeah, if you don't have the hard hands, you cannot get support from banks or governments. So I have done all my fighting alone. And the first market I got, it is this first market that permitted me to get a good position in the life, and then approach our elders that are
Yeah, I think there is some technical issue there.
small.
Okay.
And one day, I have been called by a big company to realize 20 buildings. 20 buildings. So this was the time that my success have started. It was in 2014.
Okay. Great. So in the last 6 years, you have been doing really well in your establishment, and great to know about your hardships and the challenges you faced and overcame. And finally, you had success in 2016. Great. Coming back to you, Ms. Sherilyn and Ms. Adiambo, you had raised a very important point in the beginning about the challenges that are there in Africa for starting a venture. Would you like to elaborate more on that? What are those specific challenges? And if Africa or youngsters in Africa wants to start their own ventures, what kind of difficulties they generally face?
Yes, a lot of startups, especially I'll speak with startups here in Kenya, especially us being a startup company. Some of the challenges that I know we face are financial. Finances are a huge, huge issue, especially financial management. If you go and look for donors and seed money, a lot of these people want they want accountants, they want accountability, which a lot of startups are not ready to invest in. So that becomes a huge problem, especially when you're going that way, because you have to have accountability when you're asking for money from people, and it becomes they find it very expensive or too cumbersome to employ outside accountants. So it becomes a huge issue, and that's like one of the biggest challenges that we face. Financial management and accounting setup. That is one of the major key issues that we face as startups in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, financial is one of the key issues you face.
Yes.
Apart from that,
we have trust. Nobody trusts a startup. Let's be honest. Nobody's gonna trust a startup because you're new in the market. You don't know what you're doing. So they're like, am I sure you guys are going to be able to deliver? So it becomes very difficult for us to be able to kind of grow and have people back us up, because they're like, I'm not sure. Nobody wants to invest in a try and fail. They want something that's going to succeed. So that becomes an issue for us. Nobody trusts us, but you like to prove people, you have to prove them wrong.
Great, it's really difficult to convince someone to spend their money on your idea until they believe in you.
Exactly.
And I think the young entrepreneurs are doing an uphill task in convincing all those venture capitalists and angel investors to invest those millions, in their ideas, and they are actually starting from scratch. Great. Coming to you, Ms. Moaka Namukonda. You're also doing research on trade facilitation, and you're also an entrepreneur. What do you think are the current challenges and difficulties in front of young entrepreneurs, specifically in Africa?
Just like Shalin and for the past panelists just mentioned, finances is really a big problem. I think that's the mother of all startups, finances. You're going to have financial problems. You're going to have people who don't believe in you, be it your father, your mother, your friends. They'll just be like, dude, they won't believe in what you're doing because the only, also another thing is people will only invest in something that has already started. You know, no one is really going to listen to your idea. You must be able to bring something to light. Then they say, oh, that's what you mean. You know, you're going to have, we also have a big problem with awareness, because startup is something that's actually really, really new. I think because of cultural backgrounds, we have not been educated to say you could still win in entrepreneurship. Just get a paper and work for someone, sit at someone's table. That's the proper and most secure way you could survive in Africa, you know. So most people have not had the chance to actually explore their talents and what they could do, you know. Even if we have so many intelligent people, they're not really going to spare so much of their time in creating something amazing, you know. So also I think because of our culture, it is something still very new. So awareness in how to go about it, how to register your company. People just think it's so bureaucratic and maybe it's so expensive when it might not even be, you know. Other than that, shipping fees for me specifically, like, are really crazy, especially on heavier goods. Like for me to ship raw stuff like shea butter from here to Africa, it's for you to really make your
international trade, a lot of money and fee that is required there. But Maka, you raised a very important point and very interesting point about lack of awareness, and I would add to that lack of entrepreneurship skills in youngsters in Africa. Miss Joy Norma, I would come to you. Would you like to share some insights about are there any attempts in your country in particular and in Africa in general about improving the entrepreneurship skills of youngsters so that they come out as successful and more confident entrepreneurs when they are facing the funders and the investors?
Thank you very much. That leads me to say that because of the need we've seen in entrepreneurial knowledge and going to the policy document enacted by the UNCTAD, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. In 2016, most African countries entered this policy document with frameworks such as formulating national entrepreneurship strategies, optimizing the regulatory environment, enhancing entrepreneurship education, and skills development. Technology well emphasized, technology exchange and innovation. We deem it fit as a company, considering that we are faced with a challenge that is COVID-19, to train people on how to become successful entrepreneurs. And so far, like I mentioned during the start of the program, that we have quite a number of people from different parts of the continent join in order to improve their skill in entrepreneurship. Now, the opportunities in entrepreneurial education are quite huge. With entrepreneurial education, it helps to minimize risk of failing in business. And this is a major challenge in most African countries. Although there are opportunities for people to, gain knowledge on entrepreneurship, but the limitation of it is lack of adequate information. People that are not aware, like my lady mentioned earlier, is also a very huge problem. And we see issues of nepotism, discrimination, favoritism. All of these things have been packed to the reason why we have no entrepreneurial knowledge. So it's like, I know you as the presenter, because I know you, I should be the one involved in a certain opportunity. which drags us back to, where we were. Now, remember, there are a lot of young people like myself and other young people that are, growing up from different backgrounds, but very knowledgeable and very enthusiastic about what they want to achieve. So my company feel that it's very important. So far, I think we had 110 registrants from across the world. And on our group page, we have 204 people that are very interested. And we have not just professionals, not just me. We have, I try to get tourists from the Netherlands, was advisor to Willie Jai listening very much for mentoring and pushing me to this level. And we have professors like Dr. Michael Balati, who was the director of West African Insurance Institute. We have people like Dr. Umaru Tanimu, who is a researcher at the University of the Gambia, also a lecturer. We have Dr. Fadi. So what I have done with my company is to, pool the right skill sets, people with the capacity to help develop our young people, not just in Africa. Hence, we're using technology as a means of communication and sharing knowledge. Wherever you are in the world, you can definitely benefit from it. So yes, entrepreneurship education is very important. And we are doing our quota to see that even the list man joins us. And before I drop off, I want you to also know that we have people that are physically challenged. From the United States, her name is Ruth. She is part of us and she's learning to, boost herself. The last time I spoke to her, there are success stories so far. It's 5 weeks program. And she said to me, well, I don't think I can do it. I need to support my parent because, they have been taking care of me for the past 32 years of my life. And that was very full when I heard that. I said, you need to worry no more. We will teach you how to be a successful entrepreneur without being.
Great. Two, three very interesting points you raised. One is definitely more awareness is required. Secondly, capacity building and development. And thirdly, which I could sense from your experience is that, a kind of culture facilitating entrepreneurship needs to be built up in African countries. And that's the culture that needs to be created where young entrepreneurs can thrive, can sustain in that culture. Coming to you, Emmanuel, we couldn't connect with you earlier. Can you hear me now?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Emmanuel, we would love to know your story, what exactly you're doing, and about the sector you're working in.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm working in the hospitality and let me say tourism industry, and specifically restaurants, not hotels. I have it's a family restaurant that we started back in 2012 with my siblings, 3 of us. Yeah, we started as a small company dealing in fast food and all that. So somewhere in 2015, we evolved into a very complete restaurant where we're doing very local Ghanaian foods, very delicious ones, of course. So we are motivated by our mother's profession. That's what she used to do when we were back, way back as children. She was making fast food and selling to workers around and all that. So that's how come she trained my elder siblings to engage in the restaurant business. So we faced a whole lot of issues when we were starting as young siblings. But at some point in nearly 3 or 4 years, we were able to get a lot of customers to, develop into a full restaurant. So in 2015, we registered it as a full restaurant and then started serving people on a larger scale. So from then, business has been very good. And then business has been very good, but we had some little issues moving from the small fast food into the full restaurant, which was with funding. But then we didn't make that as an obstacle. Yeah. We were able to work very hard time in and time in and time in to develop into a full restaurant.
Great.
But then what
That's
I
really
want
good.
to talk about is some challenges that we face. Some challenges that we face as young people in Ghana, in Africa as a whole. I would like to talk about finance because it seems it cuts across all African countries, but about religion, political, and then religion, politics, and then lack of the ability to accept the evolution nature of business. So a lot of people have this perception about our local food. They don't the local food. So it was a problem, and it's still a problem in our society. So we sought to it that people like our local food. So why don't we try to make the local food that we all know into something that everybody can just hop onto?
Yeah.
In a way, trying to solve the problem whereby everybody knows that they like the local food. Meanwhile, nobody is trying to sell it.
Yes.
The way we do it at home.
Okay.
I hope it's clear.
Yes.
So that's what we try to do. Over time, it turned into a very lucrative business, making it possible for us to move from the fast food into a full restaurant. But then with this business, we have some issue with, we deal with the farmers directly and all that. So at some point in time, we begin to realize that the produce that we use for the restaurant, those that are manufactured locally are more expensive than what we import from outside.
Okay.
Is that clear? So, yeah. So that serves as another challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs in Ghana.
Okay, great.
Because if I want to produce and sell, the things that I can have available right at the moment are more expensive than what I can buy.
And what you import from outside. That's a policy issue, Emmanuel. I think that's, you rightly pointed out, that's a policy issue in several countries. They need to promote their local produce. Coming to you, Mr. Lasina Bamba, you are an experienced entrepreneur and businessman. What would you like to suggest to our young entrepreneurs who have just started their journey to a startup venture, how they need to overcome the basic difficulties and challenges? Please unmute yourself. Yes.
Thank you very much. The first advice I would like to give to young entrepreneurs that come newly in the business, in the domain of entrepreneurship, is that they should learn first the environment of business, because the environment should be appropriate before to start your idea, okay, and get the information about the legislations. Yeah, if you have more information about which kind of legislation you should use to accompany your business, you could be more aware about what's wait for you and decide, okay? And the third, you have to be engaged, to have the volunteering engagement in you. If you have this volunteering engagement, you cannot be a successful startup. Yeah, okay. You have to get, because when an entrepreneur starts a business, he should do some sacrifice, some personal sacrifice that will permit him to get a good result. These the results that you will get in the future that will pay you. But mostly there are startups that when they start the business, they start to do higher spends. They used to use money to do other things that is not in the mission that they have. So most of these people at the first month they fail the business. So you have to be prepared to be engaged as a volunteer for your own projects, and also get a good team. If you have a good team, it is this team that will accompany you to your success. But this team should also be engaged as volunteers. If you could, you should pay $10 to each one. They should do some concession to get maybe $2, and the result will pay mostly in the third or sixth month, coming month, you can get a good salary and you start a business. When the business succeeds, it is you that you succeed, okay? And also, you have to get the entrepreneurship mentality. The entrepreneur mentality is what? You are a businessman, and you have to get this determination in you. You don't have to be someone that does give up so easily. Yeah, because when you are the head of the project, you have to be this person that should never be discouraged about the small fail that you do. We used to listen from successful people that we never lost, but we learn each day. So learn from your fails and continue your business and trust to your business. You will succeed. This is the first.
And be determined. And be determined, as Mr. Bamba is saying.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
That brings me to another point of discussion in today's show, which is open for all of you to comment. Do you think we have seen that in India also, traditionally businesses were handled by men, and it's a male-dominated industry. In the last few years, we had so many startup ventures started coming up, and we had so many women businessmen, women entrepreneurs started coming up with their own successful ventures. Do you think, or do you feel, in Africa, the booming startup sector, which has just started in last few years, could actually provide more opportunities to young, educated, female businessmen, businesswomen, and entrepreneurs to come up and make their own destiny in this sector? Maybe we can start with Sherilyn and Adiambo. Yeah.
I feel like the situation in Kenya is similar to what was in India. We have so many, it's basically, especially the marketing industry, the interior industry is very male dominated. We will get projects where you get into a boardroom and it's just men and you're the only woman, and there's this sense of intimidation. But once you put your foot in and just don't back down, you know how Africa is. Sometimes you just have to just put your foot down and just stand up to your position. I know what I'm doing. I know what my work is. I have my skill set. I know what I'm bringing to the table. I think the men start to respect that a little bit more. Because, for example, I know in Africa, especially Kenya, there's that thing of a woman can't have a certain role. A woman can't come in and, speak in front of a boardroom. A woman can't come in and do certain things, especially in the corporate world or, in some industries. So when they see, especially the two of us, women, like two women who are running a company, I think we switched roles where we actually intimidate men, which is hilarious. But I think it's because we have so much experience behind our back. I mean, she has over 7 years experience. I have over 12 years experience. And we've dominated boardrooms in other countries, in other continents. So when we come in, we actually speak. And you have to have that aura of, I am running this meeting. So we've actually switched that role. So we get people saying, you guys actually intimidate the male in the industry. So we always say, if I'm gonna swim with a shark, I have to be a shark.
Yeah.
The males.
It's really heartening. It's really heartening to know that you are a kind of a trendsetter in Kenya, especially in this sector, and you are breaking stereotypes in your industry, and that is something which is very much required. And I think that's the cultural change which startup sector can bring in. Coming to you, Maka Namukonda, what would you like to say about getting new opportunities for women entrepreneurs and women businesswomen in the new age startup sectors and industry?
Thank you. I really feel it's really that time. If there's nothing that if there's a best time that we break all stereotypes, it's 2020. We've had it all. This is the time to literally break all boundaries and just coming back to what I said before, cultures, all around the world, not just in Africa, in Asia, in Europe. It's something that has to be broken, the fact that there's women and men can do at the same time. The feminine and masculine line is really breaking, and I just feel there should be more opportunities for women. People should recognize women, should see them beyond the big eyes and all that. There is more that women can offer, and if you can testify, women are good at multitasking. I think we're just badass. We are the best. So I think it's time we give women a chance, and I don't think the world will be let down. Everyone will be happy. There'll be enough for everybody, and I think this is the right time. Yeah.
Yes, it is the right time. That's what Makana Mukonda has to say. Coming to you, Joy Nama, what you would like to share in brief about do you think women are getting more opportunities now in the current startup ecosystem and then the whole entrepreneurial ecosystem that is developing in Africa?
Thank you very much. I'd like to remind you, since 1930s, women have prepared the ground, but men only cultivate. So we have always been groundbreakers. We
Yes.
shake, and make things happen. And men were always there to reap out of our labor. It has been since 1930s. You can Google it and see. So
Yeah.
going back, if women can really take up their mountain of leadership, trust me, wherever you see a woman's happen. I take a typical example of the two partners, that's Shelley and her partner. And then you look at the beautiful woman that's seated doing her doctorate degree. Yeah. Back in those days, women not seen as sensible. We were always timid because men felt that they had dominance. Back to what my lady said, that culture plays a very significant role in how we are being perceived as women. And going towards or to when I was working in the corporate world as the executive secretary of Association of Gambian Manufacturers, I was part of a board and I had no voice because I was a lady, because I was trying to put things right. And they felt intimidated by whatever service I was trying to offer at that particular moment. So in Africa, I feel women can really do it if we have been able to come up with our various ideas and turn surreal to reality. It means that we're ready to break and shake and make things happen for ourselves and future generation. Because the beautiful thing about women is we just don't look at the opportunities that we get for ourselves. We look at the future, where I want to see this business in the next 10 years. If after I'm gone, should my business die down or not? If you look at most of the field businesses, it's usually owned by men. And a lot of the successful businesses is usually owned by women. A typical example is our brother from Ghana. He just mentioned that they, as a family, have continued a legacy that had been prepared by their mother. He didn't say mother, he said by our mother. Because women understand that it is important to raise a child. It is important to create a revenue stream. Like in the business model, you see that revenue stream are very important in a business for a business to sustain. Women understand all these factors. Going global, understand the rate of women as CEOs is just like 20% globally. And in Africa, has the most dominated CEOs that are women. And out of it, 5% actually represent a significant value, people that are really making things happen. But remember, those 5% is not actually enough for us to create the Africa we want, because we are the builder of Africa. If we fail today, it means our generation will not move from where we are to where the Africa we want. Quickly, I like to take you to, women that have excelled or ascended through the ladders of leadership. Going by statistics in Africa, we see that 22% of women are in the cabinets. These are people that are to represent our voices. People like us that are in business, they're the ones to say, okay, well, we've seen this one, we've seen that woman, and then we feel that certain policies have been put in place need to be checked because it's not in favor for for women that are in the industry. We don't see any adequate representation. Now, sorry, let me just shift a little and tell you some of the cons I've observed. In as much as we want women to be in key entrepreneurial position or CEOs, women should also understand they need to support their fellow women. Shelley mentioned about intimidation. I don't think the utmost goal is intimidation. I feel the utmost goal is you sharing knowledge and showing them that, look, I am here to work. I have my skill sets, like Steve mentioned earlier. I am able and capable. I have been ingrained and thought. I have a guy, my teacher taught me how to very well. So in the same vein, I would like to say, well, I have been taught thoroughly to understand the nitty-gritties of whatever endeavor that I found myself. And if I'm here bidding for this project, it's because I understand what I'm doing. It's not because I am trying to use my femininity to carry on certain activities. Now, this is my perspective about women in not just leadership, in entrepreneurship. We need to support each other more.
Yeah.
Now, I also observed that a lot of women do not observe the Sustainable Development Goals agenda, which I think is very important for every business, no matter what industry you find yourself, because with the SDG goals, we can be sustainable. I love the fact that Shelley and partner are they're partners, because that's need to SD 17, showing that, okay, they're just not friends, but they're part in business. They're willing to make things happen. They're willing to change both the interior design and marketing industry, reshape it in a different manner. So far so good. African, we are ready to take up the grounds. About 60 to 60% of women in people in agriculture, women in Africa. So it goes far beyond to show that African women have been doing tremendously well. I'd like to just an example during the impasse that happened in Gambia in 2016. It was a woman that mitigated the whole issue that we had no share, because it was going to be very, disastrous. A lot of children gone back. Some of us, it may have been feminine, but a woman came and mitigated this issue. So women are very important in every industry across sectors.
Undoubtedly. Joy, I think you made your point very well. Coming to you, Emmanuel, you work in the hospitality sector. Do you think in hospitality sector, new roles for women at the decision-making level, at the managerial level, would come after the changes which you have seen in the hospitality sector in terms of entrepreneurship opportunities and the startup opportunities which are there, or women will continue to work in the same traditional roles in the hospitality sector? What's your take on it?
Thank you very much. I think in the hospitality sector is the best place for women to take the opportunity to advance their roles and then justify their inclusion in these recent times. Because now in Ghana, I think there are no limitations, or there are very little hindrances to the ability of women to engage in entrepreneurship. Because previously, most women were not educated as compared to men. So in reality, speaking in reality, if you are not educated so much, in a way you feel inferior. And in Ghana, there is a lot of peace, and now the lawmakers include a lot of females who are making adjustments to the national laws that's concerned with women and children. So there is equal opportunity for women. So I think women are very organized as well, and hospitality also deals with being having a way of welcoming people. And we all agree that women are very good at that more than men, because definitely I think my mom knows how to keep people organized than my dad.
Yeah.
You understand? So with that, they can take the advantage of that and then start creating something to earn some income, because now there are no limitations with respect to education, with respect to discrimination. Nobody is going to say you are a woman, so we are not going to employ you as a manager of a restaurant or a hotel. There are no limitations like that at all. So now, due to the advent of this COVID-19, it has led to a lot of unemployment for most people, which men and women have been affected. But a lot of women also have taken the advantage, let me talk of the restaurant sector, to add value to certain products where people can readily have it available and eat. Let me say chicken, for instance. Now people are afraid to go to the restaurant and eat. But a lot of women are also rebranding and then adding value to the raw chicken and making it readily available. So when you buy, you can just put it in the microwave and eat. So imagine they doing this on a very large scale.
Yeah.
They are going to earn money the same way like the man will earn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't think there are limitations in Ghana as far as gender is concerned in Ghana at all.
Yeah.
And to finish it up, it used to be more necessity driven. That means that entrepreneurship used to be very necessity driven. But now, the advent of COVID-19 has also shown that they can employ a more opportunistic approach, taking advantage of this COVID-19 and some policies by the government like Ghana Beyond Aid, which means we are going to need more entrepreneurs. And Ghana is open to both male and female. So those who are not, they can take the opportunity and set up. Some government is ready to support if they don't have funding. But the government has set up a policy, National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, where the government supports the youth, both male and female, who have very sound and very clear business ideas that can support the Ghana Beyond Foreign Aid project. So I think there are no limitations, too many limitations for women. As far as
Great. I think a point well made. Coming to you, Mr. Bamba, are you there? Mr. Lasina Bamba? Yeah, Mr. Bamba, before we end today's show, your final point in a very brief way about do you think that women are getting more opportunities now because of the increasing entrepreneurial ecosystem, opportunities in the industry, or do you think women are still going to play the traditional roles even in the startup sectors?
Okay, thank you for these questions. I cannot say that I have a last point, but always to advise everybody on the new startup to get courage about the project, to, as I always say, to never give up and get the courage for what concerns the woman engagement in business and entrepreneurship. Here in Africa, the first mentality of our cultural mentality is that the man is the one that should do everything. So women are there only to consume. So it is a difficulty that we should set first to get the mentality of entrepreneurship to women and encourage them to engage personal initiative without counting on everybody, because entrepreneur is somebody that is engaged without waiting for the help of others. So when your project is well structured, you will get the necessary to develop your projects. I don't think.
Yeah, Mr. Bamba.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Before I end today's show, a few comments which have come on our Facebook live, I would like to take. Dambisa Moyo is saying that Africans need to apply Muhammad Yunus' model of entrepreneurship in Africa. We have, he's talking about microfinance, which is supportive to entrepreneurship, then microcredit. Maya Suyunchalewa had a question which is about social entrepreneurship. Maybe we'll take it in our another show when we talk about social entrepreneurship and we have people from those sectors. So there are some general comments, and so thank you so much, our viewers who are there on Facebook. Before I end this show, I would like to thank all our panelists today. Sherilyn and Adhiambo, thank you so much for joining us today in the show. And you are really great. You shared a lot of insights, especially from the industry, which has been traditionally male-dominated industry. And you are kind of a trendsetter in your own country. I think that's a wonderful work you are doing. And I would like to know more about your success stories in the coming years too. So thank you so much, Sherilyn and Adhiambo, for joining us today in the show.
Thank you so much.
Mwaka Namukonda, thank you for joining us today. And you finish your doctorate degree in the coming years, and after that you become a really successful entrepreneur. Our best wishes for that.
Thank you so much, and thank you to my fellow panelists.
Joy Nama, CEO, Mega Key Consultancy. Thank you so much for your insightful comments today. And you shared a lot of information from the ground, what is happening in the Gambia and in Africa in general. And thank you so much for joining us today in the show.
Thank you very much. I also want to thank my participants on the Mega Key, How to Be Your Successful Entrepreneur. That is Maya and Damisa Moyo. They're all my students on how to become successful entrepreneurs.
Great. Emmanuel, thank you so much, joining from Ghana and talking about the hospitality sector. And it was great knowing you about the kind of challenges you faced in establishing your venture. And I'm quite hopeful that in the coming years, once the COVID-19 crisis is over, the hospitality sector once again will start booming. So thank you so much for joining us today, Emmanuel Q. Amoafa. And coming to you, Mr. Lasina Bamba. Mr. Bamba, thank you so much for your suggestions to young entrepreneurs. And I'm quite hopeful that Africa in the coming years will be known as a continent of young entrepreneurs. You know, the kind of investment that is coming in Africa and that has come in Africa in the last 2-3 years shows the growing confidence of angel investors and venture capitalists in investing in Africa, in African ventures. And at the same time, it also signifies the emergence of a new generation of entrepreneurs. And I think which will take the businesses and the ventures to a new high in Africa in the coming years. All of you, thank you so much once again for joining us in this show. And viewers, this is a 3-part series on entrepreneurship and startup industry, which we have started. This was the first episode today of the series. Next Sunday, we'll be back again with more successful and young entrepreneurs from India and Africa to talk more about the new opportunities and challenges in this sector. Goodbye and good night, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.